I had just graduated college the year before, and we found out we were pregnant, which was not expected. And I got really depressed, and I didn't want to be pregnant. And then I felt guilty because I knew people who were trying and couldn't get pregnant. And my husband came home from work one day and told me he didn't have a job anymore. It was just absolute panic. We didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know how we were going to keep the house. We didn't know how we were going to afford to stay in the area because we had no support system. And so I think I cried for like a week straight. I felt really hopeless. It was becoming clearer and clearer, if things didn't change, that we weren't going to be able to stay here. We were going to have to move, which was going to financially devastate our family. And my boss at the time told me I needed to go to LifeNet. And I kind of rolled my eyes and was like, no, just because I'm not happy about the baby, like I'm not considering an abortion or anything like that. And that's all LifeNet does, and I don't need that. And I didn't. I had no clue. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna keep the baby, so there's nothing for me there. And she said, no, you need to go. And she made me take a lunch break and drive to LifeNet right then. And so I did, and I felt really guilty walking in the front door because there's people who have it worse than me, so how dare I ask for help, is what I felt. I felt so guilty. But the lady that was there when I got there was just the sweetest thing ever. And I told her what was going on, and she just gave me the biggest hug and told me that they were going to help me. And it was the first time from when my husband lost his job that I felt like my head was above water, of just, I didn't know what was going to happen, but there was someone who was in this with us. So my husband, he came to all the appointments with me, and they had a lot of great videos and handouts and information. We started with like just the introduction, and they got me set up with their classes. And they had a little model that was like the size of baby, and I was holding it, and I just started crying. And the woman that was helping me was so sweet, and she asked why I was crying, and I told her, I feel so terrible because I know this is a person, and I know this is a baby, and I can hold them in my hand, and I feel like I'm the worst mom ever because I'm not happy and I'm not ready to be a mom yet. And she was the first person to tell me that it was okay to not be happy, and that just because I was mourning my plan for my life and I was mourning what I thought my life was going to look like, didn't mean I was going to be a bad mom. And it didn't mean I wasn't going to love this child, and that I needed to give myself the time to grieve that, because what I thought my life was going to look like was changing forever. And she sent me home with this little bag that they had that had like a little baby blanket in it. And I got home and I held that baby blanket, and I just sat on the couch and cried. And it changed everything for me, because I knew that my life was going to be different, but I didn't feel like I was such a horrible person anymore for being sad about that. They hooked me up to so many community resources. So much of my life now is better because of them. They were like my mom and my grandma and all my aunts, and that family I didn't have in the area. And that was them.